A guest started collecting Jazz Fest posters in 1976, including notable pieces from 1976, 1979, and 1999. Jazz Fest, an extraordinary event featuring 12 stages of music, diverse food, arts, and crafts, began in 1970. Over the years, commemorative posters have become highly collectible items. The 1976 poster, featuring the parade marshal Fats Houston, was signed by artist Merida Laredo. It epitomizes the rich history and escalating worth of this extraordinary festival's memorabilia. Signed by John Martinez, the 1979 poster captures the essence of New Orleans' music scene and is truly amazing. Depicting Zydeco pianist Professor Longhair, this 1999 poster was signed by the New Orleans artist George Valentine Drouot.
And you have this copy signed by the artist, John Martinez, numbered 494. But for the first time, the unsigned edition ran to 10,000.
At a New Orleans auction, these amazing and fascinating posters could fetch up to...
If this were to appear in an auction, I would estimate it between $4,000 and $6,000.
There's something magical about the sound of a finely crafted guitar. Today we have here the Larson Brothers guitars exhibited by this guest, who enjoys collecting guitars made specifically by the Larson Brothers. The Larson Brothers were Swedish immigrants who started the brand in Chicago in the late 1800s. Surprisingly, the brothers made guitars under the trade name of several other companies, but not under their own name. One of the guitars presented is a harp guitar boasting 6 sub-bass strings, a large hollow arm, and was marketed by the W.J. Dyer and Brother Company. It was made by the Larson Brothers, and at auction, this guitar would be valued at
$5,500 retail.
Another guitar exhibited is also the work of the Larson Brothers, made circa 1930s to 1940s.
It was marketed under the Prairie State trade name. Today we call this a Super Jumbo.
This piece is a traditional steel string guitar, and it is 19 inches across. A fascinating detail about this guitar is that not many of its type were made this big, therefore making it rare. When valued at auction, this rare guitar type would have an estimated value of
$22,000 to $25,000 retail.
Really great to hear the story behind the Larson Brothers and the unsung heroes of these steel string guitars. Thanks so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
This guest presented a Japanese silver coffee pot and teapot, part of a tea set she inherited from her parents.
My father purchased it at auction in San Francisco around 1961 or 62.
The teapot and coffee pot bear Japanese marks indicating sterling silver, made by the renowned maker Konoike during the Meiji period.
Then the mark next to that is essentially made by, and then the 2 further marks are the mark of the maker.
Each piece is exquisitely adorned with dragons, whose elongated whiskers entwine with their swirling tails extending into the handles, and a dragon's claw forms the foot holding a shell knob. The bodies feature intricate hammer designs showcasing exceptional craftsmanship. Given that these rare pieces are a testament to the artistic mastery of their time, at auction they would fetch...
I would insure them together for $30,000.
Okay. Wow.
Worth its weight in gold, this Tiffany & Company gold necklace is a 14-karat yellow gold piece that embodies the opulence and craftsmanship of the era.
And it was made in the early 1870s. And the box is also an important part of the story.
Presented in its original box, the inside lid bears the inscription Tiffany & Company, Union Square, marking its origins from the renowned American retailer during a formative period in their history. The necklace features a reeded chain characterized by hollow, machine-made links that give it a visually weighty and opulent appearance, despite it being relatively light. The design reflects the era's ingenuity in maximizing the visual impact of jewelry.
Which was in 1849, there's still not as much gold in the marketplace yet.
Importantly, the piece is not signed, making the accompanying box crucial for authentication. Given its design and maker's reputation, this jewelry would sell for
$3,000 and $4,000. For insurance purposes, it should probably be insured for about $9,000.
Oh, that much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
quite unusual to see a full wardrobe for a doll, but this exquisite doll has it all.
She said it was her doll when she was a little girl, and she wanted it to go to a good home.
The first thing you'll notice is the original clothing, along with a trunk that houses her clothes. This is quite rare for a doll to have, especially since it's not a human being. The trunk along with the doll are well crafted and their beauty is thrilling. The doll is of German origin and was made in 1880.
The doll was made by Simon & Holbeck, which is a German firm. They start making dolls about 1869.
There's also other minute details that add to this doll's beauty. At an auction, this doll would retail at the estimate of...
On today's market at auction, this could bring anywhere between $4,000 and $6,000.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Our guests shared that the vase belonged to their father-in-law, who received it from a relative in China. Our guest always liked it and kept it in a safe place. The appraiser began by identifying the vase's origin and era, noting its Chinese design and late 19th century production. This vase's shape, with a tapered neck, ovoid body, and high foot,
It's typical of wares that were made in the late 19th century.
The appraiser described the decoration, noting powder blue color achieved by blowing through a bamboo straw.
For this very even, kind of almost what we would say would be a sprayed surface. There's not dark and light patches that you would get if you painted it onto the surface.
The gold decoration was applied with thin sheets of gold pressed onto an adhesive, with parts removed to create the design, and some areas were painted with gold paint. The appraiser pointed out the symbols and designs on the vase, including a bat symbolizing good luck, stylized clouds, flames, a dragon chasing a flaming pearl, and a phoenix with elaborate plumage. This vase was dated to around 1900, with a distinctive thin brown rim and a reddish color on the underside, both effects of the kiln's heat. The appraiser highlighted the vase's excellent condition and estimated its auction value to be at
$8,000 to $12,000 at auction. Wow. That's good to know.
A finely crafted Pennsylvania walnut box dating from the mid-1700s was brought. This elegant piece is distinguished by its intricate vine and berry inlay, a hallmark of Pennsylvania craftsmanship from that era. The box was designed to hold valuables, reflecting both practicality and artistry in its construction.
I think it's a little farther north. This is very typical of a Pennsylvania walnut box.
Our guest acquired the box through a dealer friend in Beaufort, South Carolina. Initially thought to be Southern or Virginian, the box features unmistakably point to Pennsylvania origins. This beautiful little box not only showcases the meticulous artistry of the mid-1700s, but also serves as a tangible link to the past. Its historical significance and exquisite design make it a valuable piece for collectors. At auction, this charming artifact is estimated to fetch between...
This is a beautiful little box. It's a valuables box. A very easy estimate at auction would be $6,000 to $8,000.
This Spanish bodice ornament was passed down to the guest by her aunt.
She worked in the fashion industry on 7th Avenue and worked for many prominent designers.
It is crafted from gold and set with numerous emeralds. Its design features a cruciform element at the bottom, a stylized bow motif, and an ornamental plaque, characteristic of mid-18th century Spanish craftsmanship. This ornament was designed to be sewn at the opening of a bodice, serving as an elegant and eye-catching accessory. The intricate construction techniques used in this piece is visible upon close inspection of the back, further confirming its Spanish origin, and is worth
$7,000 to $8,000.
Wow. That is amazing.
Our guest acquired the Songhay mask from a friend who had retired from the insurance business and was working as a deacquisitioner for a museum. They purchased the mask about 10 years ago, and it is believed to be from the 1890s or around that time. The appraiser identified the mask as a Songhay mask, specifically a female mask used in ceremonies related to reproduction. Male masks, characterized by high ridges, are used in ceremonies to create social order. The appraiser noted that many Songhay masks in the market are fake, but this particular mask exhibits authentic features, such as the holes for suspension pieces and...
You also want to see in here the wear patterns, because when you put a head inside a mask, cheeks and foreheads and noses and chins all make a mark. If it's totally consistent inside, that's not what you want to see.
Despite some minor breaks, the appraiser valued the mask at $4,000 to $6,000 in a gallery setting. However, in a more competitive auction or gallery in a place like New York, the price could reach
$10,000 to $12,000. I think it's a terrific mask. I'm stunned that I actually have a real Songhay mask in the Roadshow.
Inside what seems to be just a matchbox is a stunning gem. The gem is a pendant, and not just any pendant, but a black opal.
But I've looked at it, and there's no sort of cracks and chips there at all. So let's hear a little bit more about the background.
The stone originates from southern Australia, and though it has a bluish color, it is still called a black opal due to its wide range of colors.
I can understand that. Of course, it's made to be worn. All right, well, let's talk about the stone itself. You mentioned, of course, it comes from Australia.
A quite vibrant stone, it has an unusual shape following that of its native rock. The piece can be dated to circa 1915 from the arts and crafts movement. The back of the piece is plain gold and is stamped 15 to signify it is 15 carats. This beautiful opal pendant, considered by Europeans to be a symbol of hope, purity, and truth, would be valued at...
would you rather I said £4,000 today?
Very calm. Yes, that would be very good.
Good. All right. Well, there we are then. I'm telling you. I think it's a really, really beautiful opal.
All attention is focused on a large table believed to be Georgian made. In the 1770s, these types of tables were made and promoted by Scotsman and architect Robert Adam. Though made with mahogany wood, a lot of damage has been done to the surface because of the over 250 years of use in homes. A molding table with a finger-like latch at the bottom reveals a secret drawer. This drawer has not been in use as it was unknown to the owner. The table also features beautifully crafted foldings on the sides and a crafted flowery head that was not part of the original piece, but fixed on it. For the price, this table was worth £12,000 only 3 years ago, but today, an insurance policy on this table would be worth a staggering sum of
£30,000.
Thank you very much. That's totally amazing.
An incredible clock. That's the first thing that comes to mind after seeing this beauty. Not only is the clock massive, but it resembles the globe of the world. It's no wonder the clock is called a globe clock. The globe clock is held up high by a group of what looks like 3 cherubs. The clock is clearly a beautiful masterpiece with its alluring shine.
It's obviously been rather unloved. How did it come into the family then?
It came into the family. My grandfather was owed some money. He had a debt owed, and he took the clock.
There is an interesting movement inside the clock which controls its functions.
So what would a furniture removal cost today? A few £100?
Yeah, like
okay.
£1,000 perhaps.
Yeah, well, we'll see whether you've done all right or not.
The look of the clock is absolutely ravishing and radiates a top-notch work of art. At a suitable auction, this incredible clock would retail at the auction price of...
Well, the market's changed and it's a very commercial lump. £15,000 to £20,000.
Thank you very much.
And that would go some way towards buying a new van as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, get rid of the horse.
Our guest shared that the item was originally owned by their grandmother and they grew up with it. After the grandmother passed away, the item was passed on to them. The appraiser identified the item as a work by the famous artist Alphonse Mucha. This piece is based on Mucha's series from 1897 called The Byzantine Heads, featuring heads based on flowers and vegetation. The appraiser explained that the item is one of 2 pieces, the other likely depicting a brunette to complement the blonde figure in this piece. The halo around the woman's head and the mosaic-like background are characteristic of Mucha's style. Despite the broken frame, the appraiser noted that it does not affect the value of the piece. The estimated value of the item, regardless of the frame, is at
$7,000 and $10,000.
Wow. Displayed on the show is a collection of miniature globes, which were amassed by this guest over the years. Among the collection is a globe made by the Newton Terrestrial Globe Company, dating back to 1860. The globe comes in a traveling case with a meridian made of bronze on it. We can expect this globe to accrue a value of...
This example, which you paid the most money for, $2,000, I found quite a number of these in the price range of around $1,000 to $1,500 on a stand, but without the case and without the meridian.
Another globe in the collection was made in Japan and is placed on a stand. This intriguing piece is estimated to be worth...
that have been sold in the $100 to $200 range in similar condition to yours.
We also have a globe made in London, smaller in size compared to the others. The globe would fetch an auction value of...
we're in the $2,000 to $3,000 range.
Lastly, displayed is a globe made in America, also featuring a meridian. At auction, this globe would be valued at...
we're anywhere from $1,300 to $2,600, so I would estimate yours probably in the $1,500 to $2,500 range, maybe even as much as $2,000 to $3,000 on that.
Many people think that spurs are just used to control a horse, but to a cowboy or rancher, spurs are much more than that, and they represent a declaration of style among cowboys and ranchers. Vintage spurs, on the other hand, are relics of Western heritage and craftsmanship. It's quite funny that most folks don't know that spurs are of two shapes in Texas. The first spur here is mounted with copper to give a firm grip to its recipient.
Let's talk about this more delicate style here and very decorative. Tell me about these.
Those center spurs were made by J.R. McChesney. McChesney spurs tended to be more light and delicate than a lot of other Texas spurs.
While the second spur is more delicate than the first. The third spur was made by one of the most important spur makers in Texas.
These spurs probably date to the early 20s, late teens, and they would probably bring $1,200 to $1,500 for the pair.
Each of these spurs are distinct in their own ways and would auction at the price of...
those spurs would bring $5,000 to $8,000, a little on the lower end because they've been cleaned.
So like furniture and other things, we want them in their natural state.
Leave them alone.
This Persian Tabriz rug is a beautifully woven piece that belonged to the guest's husband's grandmother. The guest received this rug, along with other antiques, as part of her estate. Tabriz rugs are known for their intricate designs and high knot density, indicating fine craftsmanship.
And I put it under my bed, and last night before I came to the Antiques Roadshow, I remembered that I had stored it there, and here it is today.
This particular rug features a classic medallion center woven in a combination of dark blue and a brownish color due to the varying availability of indigo dye during its creation.
It was woven around 1910, so it's actually kind of fun because it's not far off from what the vintage of this house is.
This rug's design includes touches of orange, a synthetic aniline dye introduced in the 1880s, which has retained its vibrant hue over time, contrasting with the more mellowed natural dyes. Produced in Iran, then known as Persia, this rug is a testament to the skill of female weavers of that era. Despite being a finely woven workshop piece, this rug retains handmade qualities, such as the slight asymmetry in the medallion, showcasing the weaver's improvisational skills to maintain balance in the design. At auction, it would fetch...
These Tabriz rugs really range anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 depending on what attributes they have.
I'm so excited. My daughter today told me she didn't think I should bring it because it was one of the ugliest things she's ever seen.
A photograph titled Woman in a Rooming House Parlor by Diane Arbus, dating back to 1963, came into the guest family's possession through an inheritance from an uncle who collected old photographs. Arbus was known for her profound interest in capturing individuals outside societal norms. This particular print, stamped with the title and location Albion, New York, 1963, was made by Neil Selkirk, not Arbus herself, with a signature belonging to Arbus's daughter, Dune Arbus, who serves as the executor of the estate. Diane Arbus tragically passed away by suicide at the age of 48 in 1971, leaving behind a profound legacy. Excitement from exhibitions like the Metropolitan Museum of Art has historically boosted prices for Arbus's work. This photograph holds substantial value with an auction estimate ranging from
The price of this at auction would be estimated at between $15,000 and $20,000.
document bearing the signatures of the Chicago 7 was brought to light by a guest who was a CBS cameraman at the time. In 1968, during the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, he captured a pivotal moment in American history. This period marked the epicenter of anti-war protest, with prominent figures like Abbie Hoffman and the Chicago 7. The cameraman covered the court trials and was subpoenaed to testify.
We were walking with a group of people from Lincoln Park who were pretty good. They were only like two cops keeping them on the sidewalk.
Right. After his testimony, the cameraman had the unique idea to ask the defendants to sign his subpoena, resulting in signatures from Jerry Rubin, Abbie Hoffman, Lee Weiner, Rennie Davis, Dave Dellinger, Tom Hayden, and John Froines. The Chicago 7 were convicted of crossing state lines to incite a riot. This signed subpoena, a remarkable piece of history, has been appraised with an auction estimate of
Auction estimate that I would feel comfortable putting on this would be $5,000 to $7,000 as an auction estimate. I would insure it for about $10,000.
Really, it's not insured now.
I mean, it's just you couldn't repeat that now, and you'd have to be at that right place at the right time, as you were.
These letters are fantastic pieces of American history because they're not just ordinary letters. They were written by Bill Clinton long before he became President of the United States. This letter is quite special because it highlights that Bill was interested in politics at an early age.
And his name happened to be Bill Clinton. We corresponded with each other, and this is a letter that he wrote me in response to a letter I had written him.
And had already started writing letters to guests about his opinions on the elections.
It was written the Sunday before the election in 1968, and he talks about in the letter that by the time I get this letter,
the letters generally share Bill's opinions on political matters, and it's fortunate that these letters weren't shared during his election campaign. At an auction, these fantastic pieces of history would retail at the price of,
I would say easily retail this as a $10,000 letter, easily. So the combined $12,000 to $13,000 retail.
These displayed antique ceramic vessels have been in the guest's husband's family for many years. These vessels are known as Anasazi pots, originating from the ancient Native American people.
And the Anasazi were an ancient Native American Pueblo people that lived in the Four Corners. That's the Four Corners where the four states, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona, join.
Interestingly, the pots were made from locally sourced clay, often mixed with temper materials such as sand or ash.
They would have these pit houses that would surround a kiva, which was like the main meeting house, but they also built these extraordinary cliff dwellings.
Furthermore, these vessels are adorned with distinctive designs and motifs. Surprisingly, these delicate items are still intact and well preserved. Given the profound cultural significance of these pots, they're estimated to be worth,
I would probably put insurance value of about $6,000 on the two.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That sounds great.
This necklace is a fusion of glass elements and the elegance of silk. Our guest today acquired the piece from a thrift store in New York City.
This was in a jumble, all in a box with other jewelry. I saw like a couple of these peeking through and I said, ooh.
Adorning the necklace are iridescent glass and ivy leaves. It is strung on a silk cord, giving it a graceful drape. Originating from Paris, the piece was created by René Lalique. Lalique was a French jeweler, medalist, and glass designer. Although this necklace dates back to the 1920s, there are some chips and nicks visible on the piece. At auction, this Lalique piece, even with the minor wears, is estimated to be worth,
at auction, this would bring somewhere between $1,500 to $2,500.
Oh my goodness.
For us lies a collection of items affiliated with Keith Haring. Haring, an American artist, emerged from the New York City graffiti subculture in the 1960s. The guest who presented the items acquired them while collaborating with the artist on a project in 1989. The guest also shared a photograph taken with Haring during their collaboration, adding provenance to the items. Among the collection is a book containing signatures from graffiti writers, including Haring's. This book is estimated to have a value of
Value
for a herring drawing in the retail market would be about $10,000.
Wow.
Additionally, there's a linoleum piece bearing the signatures and inscriptions of various writers, including Herring. At auction, this piece could fetch...
And the linoleum, we have absolutely no comparables for. I think you're talking about $2,000 for the linoleum.
Wow.
Another showcased item is a hoodie gifted to the guest by Herring, also bearing his signature. We can anticipate this item accruing an auction value of...
Hoodies have come on the market and sold at auction for about $1,800.
Okay.
Also featured is a cap bearing the artist's signature. This signed cap is estimated to be worth...
The hat we have no comparables for, but I would expect that would be about $1,000 as well.
Wow.
While seeking fine original art for his new architectural office, this guest acquired 2 onion skin watercolors by Huey Lee Smith, who was a highly respected artist, particularly in Detroit, where he had strong ties, including an association with the Detroit Artist Market and his first city exhibition in 1947.
He's only the second African-American artist to be elected as an associate member of the prestigious National Academy of Design.
His work, often categorized within the social realist movement, vividly portrays the struggle of the socially underprivileged, touching on themes of poverty and racial issues with a distinct undercurrent of surrealism and a brooding, disquieting feel. These watercolors, signed and dated, are from the 1950s, a period that collectors highly value. In today's market, Lee Smith's works have gained significant appreciation, reflecting a broader recognition and demand for African American artists and his worth.
Today's market, you're probably talking about auction estimates for each one of about $10,000 to $15,000. It's quite a bit.
I think that's fantastic.
She has shared the backstory of an artwork acquired by her brother-in-law. The item had been discarded by a furniture company during a warehouse cleaning. The appraiser identified it as an antique advertising piece dating back to around 1915 to 1920. Given its condition, the item had water damage along the top, which fortunately did not affect the main image. The appraiser highlighted that although the piece had been repainted, it retained its original frame. Additionally, the item displayed is the name of the company Rizla at the bottom, making it a self-framed advertising sign. Although cigarette and tobacco collectibles have decreased in popularity, the attractive image compensated for that. Considering its condition and other factors, the appraiser estimated its value at auction to be...
Based on condition, all the factors in mind, I would probably put an estimate conservatively of $1,200 to $1,800.
Well, that's fantastic. I never had a clue that'd be worth that much.
Significant historical document, the minutes of the Arkansas Territorial Legislative Council from 1825 to 1829, details various bills proposed, discussed, and passed by the legislature during that period. It includes a section of the governor addressing a report of the Mexican army invading southern Arkansas through Texas. Another important passage discusses a bill proposing to make it illegal for constables to execute and sell slaves. This document comes from a family with deep Arkansas political roots, guest grandfather being the speaker in 1945. As a government document, the minutes hold immense historical value for the state of Arkansas. However, it raises questions about its ownership and whether it still belongs to the state. Given its unique nature, the document was valued in the range of...
Similar documents, it would probably be in the $10,000, $15,000 range at a minimum. And I'm thrilled that you brought it in. I could sit here and read it for the next half hour, an hour.
Go right ahead.
I won't right at the moment, but it's fine. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
The guest inherited an exquisite 14-karat gold vanity set from her grandparents dating back to 1905. The set comprised a gentleman's and ladies' dresser set, crafted by renowned companies William Kerr and Gorham Corporation. The sets were plated with 14-karat gold, with some pieces featuring intricate designs carved with wheels. The sets included an array of pieces such as brushes, mirrors, perfume decanters, and hair receivers, all showcasing exceptional craftsmanship. The appraiser confirmed the guest's estimated date, revealing that Gorham Corporation acquired William Kerr Company in 1906. The total weight of the impressive 28-piece set was approximately 448 troy ounces. Many individuals would scrap such a set for its gold value, but the guest wisely preserved it as a treasured family heirloom. The set's cultural and historical importance got it appraised at...
We appraised this, talked to my cohorts on the table, between $15,000 and $20,000.
Wow, okay. Why?
On an anthropological excursion, this guest acquired a fascinating collection of artifacts originating from the Irian tribe.
We started trekking up the mountain, going towards a certain village. Before we got there, we met these people and they challenged us with spears, came right up to us, and after they accepted us with my guide interpreting, they incorporated us into the war games.
The first contact with the tribe occurred during an expedition in the Asmat region of southwestern Dutch New Guinea by Michael Clark Rockefeller. His discoveries provided the primary material from New Guinea in the Metropolitan Museum. This collection also contains a photograph of the Irian people taken during the excursion, along with a couple of penis sheaths known in the tribe as koteka.
The primary material from New Guinea in the Metropolitan Museum. And now that's material that came out literally 10 or 15 years before you gathered this.
The items in his collection serve as a way of showcasing the Irian tribe to the world, and at auction, they would collectively sell for...
So now if we take the sheaths and we add it in with the other group, we're in the $2,500 to $3,500 range for the entire collection.
Exquisite Yomut Asmalik rug, dating back to around 1870, is a prized piece woven by the Yomut tribe of Turkmenistan. Acquired by the guest from a woman relocating to a retirement home, this rug is a traditional camel trapping made for a bride's wedding procession, serving as a dowry piece.
Maybe 10 of them are still under a spare room bed.
Well, the piece you brought in today is a Turkmen piece.
Characterized by its triangular shape and decorative tassels, it boasts a rich palette of natural dyes, including a rare insect-derived cochineal red.
Some of the qualities that make it an osmalik, the main is the fact that it's coming to a point at the top.
The rug's fine quality is evident in its dense weave with approximately 200 knots per square inch, allowing for a clear and intricate design. In exceptional condition, this historical and beautifully crafted piece is valued at...
They've actually backed off a little bit in value, so $5,000 is realistically what you would have to pay if you were a collector.
I think that's wonderful. I just love what you're telling me.
Beautifully crafted cinnabar lacquer box dating from the Xinlong period between 1735 and 1796 features intricate designs and a depiction of a Buddha's hand citron. This highly detailed piece was made using a labor-intensive process involving hundreds of layers of lacquer, each dried and polished before the next was applied and then meticulously carved. The guest acquired it from his friend, a retired commercial artist and antique dealer in Charleston, about 15 to 20 years ago. Despite some minor condition issues, such as small interior chips and crackling known as alligator peel, it remains a finely made object likely from a scholar's table. Reflecting its historical significance and craftsmanship, the box's worth has significantly increased up to...
Nowadays, a box like this is worth between like $15,000 and $20,000.
Wow.
And that value would be an auction estimate on that. Yeah.
15 to 20,000.
Yep. Yeah. It's a beautiful
I'm overwhelmed.
box.
The guest brought a log cut from a tree limb purportedly from the Gettysburg battlefield to be appraised, a family heirloom with a rich history. The guest's father had traded a Zenith transoceanic radio for the log at a trading post in Carlsbad, New Mexico around 1965, a fascinating exchange. The log's historical significance was impressive, and it represented the magnitude of war. The log contained numerous shrapnel and musket balls, including a piece of iron from a cannon projectile, a testament to its tumultuous past. The tree had still been alive when cut down between 1904 and 1907 and had tried to heal itself around the embedded projectiles, a remarkable natural response. The log was from the Civil War era based on the type of projectiles embedded in it, a crucial factor in its appraisal. While the log's attribution to Gettysburg was based on verbal history, its historical significance was undeniable. This battlefield log with multiple projectiles, a true piece of American history, was estimated at,
and this piece of American history would retail today between $2,000 and $3,000.
Wow. Awesome.
This guest inherited these artifacts from her parents.
What you have is a dresser garniture. These were made by René Lalique, in the 1920s. They're French.
These are Lalique dressing table garniture made by the French jeweler, medalist, and glass designer René Lalique. Lalique is known for his exquisite creations of glass art similar to these artifacts. These bottles are of French origin, dating back to 1920. This particular bottle is called Myosotis, meaning forget-me-nots, which are stylized on the sides of the bottle. Although there are a few condition issues on the glass pieces, they are still of great value as a collection, estimated at,
they would be sold in a retail store for around $8,000. If these were all perfect, they could be worth for as much as $20,000 to $30,000 in a retail store.
This Pennsylvania Railroad travel poster from the early 1950s captured the enchanting twilight of New York City. The guest, an avid poster collector, was drawn to its vibrant imagery, showcasing the city lights, a sunset, and stylish tourists in period attire. Prominently featuring landmarks like the Flatiron Building and Lower Manhattan, the poster evokes an era before the Twin Towers.
And I love it. You can see the Flatiron Building there, which is my neighborhood. You can see Lower Manhattan. It's the era before the Twin Towers.
Created by artist Harley Wood, known for designing only 2 Pennsylvania Railroad posters, it is a rare find.
Railroad posters, by definition, had to be printed in great numbers. In order for them to be effective, they would print posters advertising travel to New York and hang them all along the line.
Despite some condition issues, its rarity and the captivating view, likely from the Empire State Building, make it worth,
I would say in today's market, a realistic auction estimate for this piece is between $4,000 and $6,000.
I would be very happy with that as well. So, great. Well, thank you very much.
This tall ladder-back chair, purchased from a local estate, exemplifies the rustic arts and crafts style. The chair features tall, vertical slats, characteristic of the arts and crafts movement.
Like the tall verticality, oftentimes with either vertical or horizontal slats as you see in the back. Now the lower portion is also very much in the arts and crafts style.
The lower portion reflects the Stickley style.
You see that in the slats, the wide oak slats. You also see that the Stickley style in the manner in which the tops of the legs are exposed above,
with white oak slats and exposed chamfered leg tops. Hand craftsmanship, a key theme of the arts and crafts style, is evident in this piece. The chair's provenance is confirmed by an inscription noting its purchase in July 1924. Although it uses nails instead of wooden pegs, the chair's design and craftsmanship are highly appreciated. This chair, with its unique, fun design, would be valued in today's market at,
it would be around $500 to $700 easily, maybe even more than that. But really a fun piece of furniture, and I really appreciate you bringing it.
Guest inherited a pair of porcelain vases from his great-grandmother, and it was a treasured family heirloom. The vases, shaped like tulips, dated back to the 1850s to 1860s and were purchased by the guest's great-grandfather in New Orleans. The tulip-shaped vases were a popular trend in the 19th century, particularly in France and England. The vases were identified as Vieux Paris porcelain, also known as Old Paris porcelain, produced in or around Paris during the first half to third quarter of the 19th century. They were manufactured by Jacob Petit, a respected maker of Vieux Paris porcelain, based on the mark on the bottom of the vases. One of the vases had a significant crack on the bottom, a manufacturer's flaw that occurred during firing, but it did not detract from its value. The vases were attributed to the 1840s, a time when French porcelain was highly sought after in the American South before the Civil War. The beauty and historical significance of these wonderful examples of Vieux Paris porcelain got them appraised at
This pair would probably sell in a retail situation between $1,500 and $2,500. They have a really nice value.
Well, I hope that they can remain on the same dresser for many, many, many years.
In January 1981, two impressive pieces of porcelain were purchased by a guest at an auction from the estate of the daughter of J.C. Rogers, an early founder of Wamego, Kansas. These pieces are highly decorative and reflective of the styles popular with collectors in the mid-20th century.
That existed about 250 years ago.
A Sèvres box is beautifully hand-painted and gilded, with marks suggesting a French Sèvres Company piece. It was made by the Ludwigsburg Company between the 1750s and 1820s.
It has largely been used through its lifetime for deception. When we see the mark, we almost always assume that it was made at the very best at the end of the 19th century.
Both items have undergone extensive research, with numerous labels detailing their supposed origins. Despite their impressive appearances, both pieces are identified as fakes, likely crafted in Europe a century ago.
Rather exquisitely molded, as all of it, detail painted by hand very well. The panels, too, have this relief molded figural pattern.
Despite their pseudo marks, due to their high decorative appeal and quality, they are valued at...
We would place an estimate on it between $3,000 and $5,000. Is it possible it could double or even triple that? Yes, it is, because of its uniqueness.
This is a music box that belonged to the guest's mother, who worked for a family on a farm in Lawrence, Kansas, and played it on the weekends. This is a Regina music box made by the Regina Company in Rahway, New Jersey. It has its original gallery, mahogany finish, and art glass front, and stands on cabriole legs. This Model 35 is for home or parlor use, playing 15.5-inch discs, similar to a jukebox.
We can see that the Regina Company of Rahway, New Jersey, manufactured it. It retains its serial number.
Serial number allows tracking of its purchase and manufacturing details. It dates from around 1898 to 1910. It's hand-cranked with this handle and plays when the swivel guard starts the mechanism.
This serial number, people have the records of this, so they can actually determine who bought it, when it was sold, and when it was manufactured.
Excellent condition makes it special. Estimated auction value is...
Auction estimate, I would estimate it at $15,000 to $20,000.
Painting by Chuck Close, created while he was a student at Everett Junior College, dates back to 1960. It was sold to the guest's husband, a drama professor, by Chuck Close, who needed $8 to avoid eviction. He was influenced by abstract expressionists like Jackson Pollock, Mark Rothko, and Willem de Kooning in his early days. Titled Man Walking, this painting reflects the young artist's interpretation of springtime energy and sunshine. Over the years, Chuck Close became renowned for his photorealist portraits, diverging significantly from the abstract expressionist style of this early work.
Brought it home. It's been hanging in my front room ever since.
Despite its early creation, the painting is considered impressive and indicative of Close's potential in the abstract genre. The importance of Close's artistic development and his lasting impact on art history caused the value of the painting to reach up to...
Would you be surprised if I said $100,000 to $150,000?
How much?
At auction, $100,000 to $150,000.
Oh, wow.
Has purchased a summer cottage in 1975, which came with furnishings, including a piece of furniture that caught his brother-in-law's attention. This furniture featured engraving and Stickley stamp from Gustav Stickley. The piece was identified as a rare and exciting example of Gustav Stickley furniture designed by Harvey Ellis with a stamp dating back to 1903. It was a music cabinet featuring inlay work, pewter, copper, and fruit wood. It was in immaculate condition with its original finish intact. While Gustav Stickley made many pieces, Harvey Ellis pieces were particularly rare, especially in such good condition. The guest revealed that they purchased the cottage and all its furnishings, including this piece, for $28,000. The piece was a beautiful and rare example of the arts and crafts movement, and it got appraised at...
this piece is worth probably $80,000 to $100,000.
$80,000 to $100,000?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a great piece of furniture.
A fascinating collection of vintage movie memorabilia was inherited from the guest's late husband's great aunt, who owned 11 theaters. This assortment includes production yearbooks, lobby cards, one-sheets, and window cards. Window cards, smaller than large posters yet highly graphic, were used by theaters to promote movies in local stores.
They would go out to local stores and give them this to put in their window, hence the name, and give them a couple of passes to the theater and that type of thing.
Measuring 14 by 22 inches originally, they were often trimmed to 14 by 17 inches by collectors.
The window card measures 14 by 22, and this is a complete window card for the original 1937-38 release.
One notable item is a complete window card from the original release of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, likely from 1939. Another standout is a window card from Gone with the Wind, circa 1940, showcasing the tagline, "Nothing cut but the price."
Strangely enough, it does not really detract that much from the value.
Okay.
Because collectors know that the only thing up here was
blank.
either blank or there was some writing in it.
An untrimmed 1939 lobby card for a film is highly desirable, a rare gem from the 1932 film Hold'em Jail by Wheeler and Woolsey, highly sought after due to its scarcity. After a thorough assessment at auction, the entire portfolio is estimated to sell for...
Now, I went over the entire portfolio with another appraiser, and we came to the conclusion this would sell in the $25,000 to $28,000 range at auction.
Well,
Guest inherited this artifact from her father.
The family history is that William Hollingsworth and Carl Wolfe were living in an apartment.
Who worked for the Union Pacific Railroad. The banner is from the premiere of the 1939 film Union Pacific, directed by Cecil B. DeMille. This film documented the 1862 Union Pacific Railroad expansion approved by Abraham Lincoln, marking the first attempt at a transcontinental railroad in the United States. Union Pacific was also the first winner of the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival. This banner commemorates the joining of the Central and Union Pacific Railroads at Promontory Summit, Utah.
I think that this picture dates from right around mid to late 1930s. The style in which it's drawn suggests that, and we have a really nice signature down here.
Preserved and presented in excellent condition, this piece of American history is worth...
I'm going to suggest that if this were a picture that were coming to auction, I would expect to see an estimate on it of between $8,000 and $12,000.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
This guest brought an English lantern clock onto the show, and the clock was his grandmother's before she passed away. The clock was made in England in 1673 by William Holloway.
It says the clock had been ticking for 70,000 million times, and this newspaper clipping came from 1936.
Originally, this clock hung from a hook on the wall, which is evident from the metal spikes at the back that kept it off the wall. Possessing a chain wind, this piece was designed to run for 30 hours. Furthermore, the clock was crafted from brass, which was the standard material for the period it was made. However, the clock is missing some parts, such as its alarm feature, missing finials, and the bell has been replaced. In its present condition, this vintage lantern clock is estimated to be worth...
In its present condition, it's probably worth that, $1,500. But this is the type of thing that a lot of people who are mechanically inclined would take as a labor of love and invest $3,000 or $4,000 into restoring it.
Looks like a framed US dollar bill, but it's not. In fact, it's actually an original painting that resembles a bill and demonstrates the expertise of its painter. The painting was created by Victor de Bril, who was known as a master of landscape paintings.
He's done a pretty good job with this treasury note from roughly 1891. We can see shadows, we can see creases. He's really done a remarkable job in capturing a silver dollar bill that has been in somebody's pocket or someone's drawer.
His painting style is quite distinct from the ones we usually see. The painting actually depicts a treasury note from 1891, and the level of detail is extraordinary. Victor's style consists of various paintings of dollar bills and pictorial representations of money.
The condition of the painting looks fine, but restored. Now, did you have the painting restored?
Unfortunately, I had it cleaned.
This beautiful treasury bill painting would auction in today's market at...
Is worth, for insurance purposes, about $15,000.
Oh, so little do we know about things that we have with us.
Two quite interesting letters, these seem like. But they're not just letters written by lovers to one another, they're letters written during the American Civil War. These letters were handled by an American nurse called Clara Barton. Barton founded the American Red Cross and was a hospital nurse during the American Civil War. The letters talk about going into battle and war and about some soldiers missing in action. These letters, serving as great Civil War memorabilia, are worth...
And I think easily you can be talking to $1,000 to $2,000 per letter. So you have 6 letters here, so you're probably talking $6,000 to $12,000 at a retail price of what's just here.
Expected to bring all of that.
I think I made my money back.
I think you did just fine.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Our guest purchased the item at a garage sale in a small town near Oklahoma City while coming home from Dallas. They were drawn to it because it reminded them of their sister's watercolor art. The appraiser identified the item as Teplitz pottery from Bohemia, known for its Art Nouveau style.
Almost in the German Art Nouveau style.
The piece features a portrait of a pretty woman with enameled hair and a forest scene on the reverse side. This Teplitz piece is considered one of the best Art Nouveau portraits on ceramics from that time period. It was likely made around 1900 to 1905 and is a one-of-a-kind, hand-decorated piece. The appraiser noted that while most artists from that period were women, Teplitz decorators were mostly men. This piece bears the Teplitz mark, which includes Tern, Teplitz, and Bohemia. The enameling on the piece, particularly the blues and pinks, adds depth and...
a fairly flat and far less interesting piece.
Oh, okay.
In terms of value, a portrait vase or a scenic piece of this size would typically be valued at...
To make this for somewhere about $3,000 to $4,000 and expected to bring all of that.
I think I made my money back.
I think you did just fine.
Oh, that's wonderful.
This lunchbox, passed down from the guest's father, is a nostalgic treasure from 1966. It was initially purchased by the guest's grandmother for his father to take to school every day. The lunchbox, made by Aladdin, features characters from Hogan's Heroes. Hogan's Heroes is an American television sitcom set in a prisoner of war POW camp in Nazi Germany during World War II that ran from September 17, 1965 to April 4, 1971. The characters are depicted around the whole box. The thermos, an important component of this lunchbox, is still intact.
This particular box is from 1966, made by Aladdin, and what was inside the lunchbox was a thermos.
And the lunchbox's condition has been well kept, given its excellent preservation. Given its excellent condition, even without the thermos, this lunchbox would be valued at...
This box is worth like $400. That's without the thermos. Hard to believe, eh?
Acquired by this guest at a flea market, this salesman's sample of a stove is truly something. Unlike most items of this type from the 19th century, this one is from circa 1935. It's quite rare to see coal-burning stove samples from that period. The stove sample is both porcelainized and cast iron. The cast iron featured on it is reminiscent of the old stoves made in the 19th century. Like typical salesman samples, this one shows all the mechanisms involved, including the working flue. There's even a mechanical aspect in the back with little dials that regulate air into the burn chamber. Although the market for items like this has dropped, this one is absolutely intriguing and would still command a fee of...
This market is not quite what it was 10 or 15 years ago, but I think even today this would sell for around $2,000 to $4,000.
The guest brought in what he believed to be a Civil War cartridge pouch. He had acquired it from his parents' house in the attic. The appraiser revealed that it was actually an original Revolutionary War soldier's cartridge box. It specifically belonged to the 43rd Light Infantry of the British Army. They discussed the box's significance, noting its possible presence at battles such as Bunker Hill and Lexington. The item was in excellent condition with the original leather shoulder sling and brass plate. Additionally, the red cloth, closure tab, wooden block, and metal finial were also present. Such completeness and quality made it exceedingly rare and valuable. The guest was amazed by the historical significance and unexpected worth of the artifact.
This one on today's market would retail for between $20,000 and $25,000.
Acquired by the guest from a household sale, these striking textiles immediately catch the eye. These pieces are known as Kashkai bag faces, originally from the Fars district in southern Persia, dating back to the turn of the century. Historically, these items were made for personal use by the weavers and featured kilim backings, transforming them into closed bags with loops at the top for fastening and storage. The intricate designs showcase crude interpretations of everyday life with depictions of goats and stylized flowers or rosettes.
Place through these slits and they'd be able to fasten items and store them. So this was an item that they used in their everyday life.
Today, many of these bag faces are repurposed into decorative pillows, offering a practical use for such beautiful craftsmanship. Given their authenticity and historical significance, these pieces stand out as valuable items in the auction market. Currently, a pair like this with their intricate designs and history would fetch.
Auction market, I think an item like this would bring between $1,500 and $2,000 for the two of them.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
That's all right. Thank you.
This Renaissance Revival center table is a magnificent piece with a rich family history. The table is a grand and spectacular example of Renaissance Revival furniture made of walnut with a stunning burled walnut veneer top. The veneer is beautifully matched in a quarter section, creating a book match pattern. Crafted in the late 19th century, this table draws heavy inspiration from European design. The base of the table showcases a rich array of historical and mythological figures, including an Egyptian figure, a griffin, which is a mythological creature with the body of a lion and the wings of an eagle, and a warrior. The table is also adorned with an ivy border, symbolizing friendship and fidelity. However, this high-quality furniture with its intricate storytelling through design would sell for?
Say that it's probably got an auction estimate in the $3,000 to $5,000 range.
Oh, very good.
Belonging originally to the guest's mother's uncle, this Gibson F4 mandolin holds a significant place in musical history. The mandolin, a part of a booming trend around 1914, was crafted by a company named Gibson. This particular model, the Gibson F4, was their most prestigious mandolin, priced at $150 in 1914. With its distinct Art Nouveau design, featuring matching curls on the body and headstock, a unique celluloid tuners from Germany, this mandolin stands out. It boasts a spruce top, stained black curly maple back and sides, and a mahogany neck. Housed in a distinctive rectangular case, it comes with original accessories, including a key case and a vintage box of Gibson strings.
And by this time they were using these inlaid celluloid tuners, which were made in Germany.
Backed by a vintage photo of Byron, the mandolin's retail value is estimated at?
A mandolin like this would probably have a retail value of somewhere between $6,000 and $7,000.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what we...
Our guest introduced the painting, explaining it depicts their great-grandfather at his home in York, New York, along with his 10 children. The great-grandfather was a farmer and grain dealer in the area. The appraiser noted that the painting is a valuable document of 19th century life in York, New York, dating around 1862, highlighting the importance of painting before photography became widespread. The appraiser pointed out that the detailed portrayal of the great-grandfather, famous for riding around town in a top hat and...
Here we have two of the children playing in a kind of miniaturized version of his carriage.
This painting also features the farmhouse with intricate architectural details, beautiful flowers, and a variety of carefully depicted trees. Two figures appear to be returning from the market with a basket. Our guest mentioned the sentimental value of the painting, sharing memories of growing up in the town. The appraiser acknowledged the sentimental value and explained that the lack of a signature is typical for
American artists didn't usually sign their works until later in the 19th century.
The artist was likely itinerant and unidentified. The appraiser estimated the painting's auction value to be
like $3,000 to $5,000.
An astute lover of baseball, this guest's grandfather passed down his autographed photograph of the 1929 Philadelphia Athletics team. This team was considered one of the greatest baseball teams in history. They won the American League with a record of 104 wins and 46 losses and were crowned World Series champions, beating the Chicago Cubs 4-1. This photograph bears the signatures of all the players, most of whom are Hall of Famers.
Players were Hall of Famers. If we look at this photo, and this is a panoramic photo of all the players with all their signatures, the only one missing is Connie Mack.
Although it excludes the signature of Connie Mack, the owner of the club during this period. This photograph is essentially the holy grail for baseball collectors and would sell at auction for nothing less than
$15,000 to $20,000, and then I'd let the dice roll.
Our guest worked for Columbia Pictures Television in New York in the 1970s and received the Marlon Brando poster from a colleague who was a big collector of posters. The colleague gave it to them as he was leaving the company. The appraiser examined the poster and noted that it is a re-release from 1960.
That's usually the death knell for the value of a poster.
The original release of The Wild One was in 1953, but this poster is from the 1960 re-release. This poster is a 40x60 format, which is a rare format with less than 1,000 printed.
There's only a handful of theaters would want them. They were very popular with drive-ins because of the large format. People could see them from a distance.
The appraiser explained that the poster's value is typically lower for re-releases, but this particular poster is unique because it features a strong biker image not seen in the original release posters. After researching, the appraiser found no other instances of this particular 40x60 poster from the re-release of The Wild One, making it a rare find in movie poster collecting. The appraiser estimated that if the poster were to be auctioned, it could sell at
would sell between $3,500 and $4,000.
I'm doing the double take that I always see on TV because I'm like, going, I can't believe it.
These collections of Ethiopian crosses were acquired by this guest from an online merchant. At first glance, some of these crosses appear old, while others seem decorative, but we can indeed discern from certain qualities if they are indeed what they appear to be at first glance. Stylistically, the designs look crude and not as refined as they should be, and the collections are all very recently made. Furthermore, the edges on these crosses are still sharp, indicating they haven't been handled much. We can also determine from inspection of the shaft that the patination remains the same, which would be the opposite if they had been used. At auction, the handheld crosses in this collection would each have a value of
They go 100 to 150,
while processional crosses would fetch a value of
up to $300.
It's okay. I got them because they're beautiful.